we all know what's happening in the world today, and I mean that's why I gotta focus on boxing, because if I wasn't in boxing, I'd be out there like, you know, I wouldn't give a shit what people are doing in the world. I'm still gonna do what I love to do, you know.
That's right.
That's why I do what I do.
And boom, we are live. What's up, everybody? Couple Casuals Podcast. I am your host, Stefano. And guys, we have a very exciting episode for you guys today. My guest today is the most feared professional Canadian boxer that there is. He has a professional record of 21 wins, 1 draw, and 1 defeat, with 19 of those wins coming as a way of knockout. And guys, his story is one of resilience, determination, and grit. So I'm very much looking forward to this conversation. And guys, today's episode is brought to you by Canada First. Secure your home with Canada's best home fortification. Visit them at canadafirst.com to learn more. And so with that being said, I want to welcome Ryan Rozicki to the podcast.
Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for coming, man. I really appreciate it, man. I've been trying to get this going for a while, man, because I think you represent something in boxing and then in Canada that we need: toughness, grit. You bring that authenticity to the ring, and I think we're missing that in Canada too. Like, I feel like we're getting soft, Brian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm really happy. I'm looking forward to having this conversation. So this year has been a tough for you, man. You know, you've had a lot of injuries. You have things that you've went through. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about some other interesting things with boxing, get your perspective on some things. But so much happening in the world of boxing, and then even outside of that. So I'm looking forward to getting into that with you. But I think the best place for us to start, brothers, for the viewers tuning in that know you and maybe want to know a little bit more, or for the ones that are tuning in that maybe don't know who Ryan is, let's go back to, we were just talking a little bit before pod about Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. I want to know a little bit before boxing, like your upbringing coming up in Nova Scotia. I'm very curious as a Canadian, the different parts of this country and seeing what the differences are. What was that like for you?
Well, yeah, so it's Cape Breton, that's where I'm from. It's a little, for those who don't know, it's a little island off of Nova Scotia. I would say it's just, to explain it, it's a little bit behind in times. So like,
Is it?
Yeah, like a little bit. Maybe now it's more, you know, up to date. But like when I was growing up as a teenager, like it was like, it's like going back 40 years, because the way people grow up, you know, the way people work there, very like a blue collar place.
Love that.
You know, you gotta be tough. You have to either, you know, be a fisherman. You gotta work hard, a lot of labor jobs, or you gotta get out of there like people do. Like that's.
Is it small town? Like, how is it, a city or town?
I don't know the exact number. I feel like something tells me there's like 90,000 people in that.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but it's a small place. Yeah, small town. Everybody knows everybody.
That's what I was going to say. Is it like, I'd imagine it being like very tight-knit community. Everybody knows everybody's name. I grew up in a small town a little bit north from here, and it's kind of like that too. But I love that though.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's good and bad, right?
Yeah, because everybody knows your fucking dirty laundry and shit.
That's the thing. You know, everybody knows everybody, so there's no getting away with anything around there.
So you had to be tough growing up there. What was that like growing up as a young kid? What was that like there?
Well, I guess it depends on which part of the island you grew up on. Like there's, you know, I'm from the Sydney side, so like Sydney, Nova Scotia. That's the side I'm from. You go to the other side of the island, it's a much more, you know, there's like really beautiful beaches.
Nice.
There's like, they still have square dances over there. And it's a little bit of a different mentality. When you go over to Sydney, it's more of like, you know, you can get into some rough areas in there for sure. Yeah.
So crime and stuff like that, is that something like, is it higher in crime or things that you have to worry about? Like always keep your head up kind of thing?
Yeah. In Sydney, there's definitely a lot of that. Different, like there's North Sydney, there's Sydney Mines, there's all these like different little areas, and it's very different in each area you go. So when I grew up, you know, as a teenager, all I ever did was fight. So like you'd go out in Sydney, and if there was people from, you know, North Sydney at the same party as you, it's like automatic fights.
You're having a go.
Yeah, automatically. It's not, we're not even talking about it. It's just going down. That's how it was when I grew up as a teenager. Like I said, might be a little bit different now. They might be a little bit more up to times, you know. Everybody's got the phones out now, videotaping shit, so it's a little different, but
yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at the beginning of this conversation. That's what it's just changing a little bit. Like I feel like we got to get a little tougher, especially the young Canadian boys out here. That's why I hope this conversation resonates with them all, because yeah, it's things like that, right? Like, but those types of communities, and they make you who you are. And like when you come to Toronto, I got to get your opinion. Like, what are your thoughts on the difference? Because you're coming from the outdoors, you know, small community, tough, and then you come to a city like Toronto, and it's just like, way different.
Yeah, it's a completely different different like place that I'm used to, different atmosphere, different people, different way of thinking. Like everything was different. I started coming here probably, I want to say about 8 years ago. I came here through boxing. Obviously, I signed with promoters in Hamilton, Three Lion Promotions. But before that, like I had no plans on ever leaving Nova Scotia. I thought, I could stay here and I can, there was the odd professional fight card in Nova Scotia. That was good enough for me. But, as I started to win and progress, I realized I needed to leave the province and
It's one of those things.
expand, and that's what led me here.
Yeah. Toronto's an interesting city. Yeah, it's definitely some good foot fighters out here too. Eh? Good sparring.
There's a lot of tough fighters around here.
Yeah. How much do you think, like Cape Breton being like, again, polar opposite from like a city like Toronto, how much do you think that contributed to, like, that environment contributed to like who you are now? Like
everything. Yeah, everything. Like it actually, to be honest with you, it took a long, long time, and maybe still to this day, I still have troubles. Like if you see me fight in the ring, I still carry a lot of that like street fight mentality and fight with a lot of rage, and it's not good necessarily. Like, you don't want to use that because in boxing it's a chess game, and usually when you bring like emotions and all that stuff into the ring, that's you make mistakes, you get hurt, you get knocked out, you lose, things like that. So for me, it's always been a battle to like the thing that actually made me who I am to get rid of it, because once you go up the levels in boxing and you get to a certain level, that stuff is only gonna like it's not good, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
You guys are gonna catch you when you start getting emotional and all that kind of stuff.
It makes for exciting fights, bro.
I mean, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying though. You got to be a little bit more calculated, and you got to remove the emotion from it, and that's the difficult part, isn't it?
Yeah, it is for sure. That's my most difficult thing from becoming a boxer and going up the levels. It's always been, even to this day, my coaches are like, it's always a thing, get back and box, take a step back, take a walk, because I just want to engage and fight the whole time. Yeah,
100%. I guess that's really a part of your identity from Cape Breton. So like even growing up, lastly on Cape Breton, when you're growing up there, us Canadian boys, especially in these different types of rural towns and stuff, there's not much to do. It's fucking cold. You're having a drink. How did you navigate like the inevitable influences of partying and just making your way around that?
Well, I honestly never was much of a partier. I didn't know. I drank like everybody else, but for me, I was going out because I wanted to fight. Like, yeah, my buddies would go out and they'd be drinking and looking for girls and all that kind of stuff. All I cared about was fighting. Like, I would stay sober because I had to work on a left hook to the body, and I knew that I had no sparring back then, so it was like the only way I could get my work in was if I got into a street fight. So that's where I would work on my things that I was studying in boxing and training on in the gym. That led me into a lot of trouble with the law, of course.
I
but
imagine that.
Yeah, that was my way of getting more experience fighting. All I cared about was fighting. That's all I ever wanted to do. So everything in my life has always been like, everything has been around fighting. Like, that's it. Everything is about fighting.
Let's talk about that street fighting a little bit, because I've been in some of my day, and we hear about these street fights now and how they changed, and it's very interesting to me. And I think that it's because I watched like a lot of like the gypsy fighters, like Bartley Gorman, like the gypsy like bare knuckle fighters. I found them so interesting. And there's something about a bare knuckle fight that's I find very interesting. Take me through some of these stories like that. You growing up in Cape Breton, getting into fights, would guys know who you are? Would it be like the toughest guy fights the toughest guy? How would that kind of go down?
Yeah, that's kind of how it would work. But so it started for me. I'll take it back a bit. I grew up in there's this little area in Cape Breton called Howie Center.
Okay.
Howie Center, Sydney Forks, very close together. And there's a couple trailer courts there. So I grew up in the Howie Center trailer court, and it was always like a thing, I guess, with the dads, like whose son was the toughest. You know what I mean?
Love that.
And my dad growing up in a family that loved fighting. My mom's side loved fighting. So street fighters,
Really?
no boxers. They're just street fighters, straight
Yeah.
up street fighters. And but it's such a big thing there. Like that's what people did. Everybody did, So anyways, my dad, I'm like 7 years old. My dad's like, oh, my son's gonna be the toughest kid around. Just had a big head as a little kid. I was always pissed off and stuff. So he was used to make me fight other kids in the trailer court.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like 7 years old. Like, these kids are 12, 13, 14, 15. And
That's
I'm
much older.
fighting them. Oh, yeah. But I'd drop them. Like I'd drop a lot of these.
For real. And
I mean,
no skill set yet, just swinging.
you know, just pure whatever was naturally gifts I had. You know what I mean? So yeah, he would make me like fight all these kids in the trailer court, and I don't know if he's just bragging to the other dads, oh my boy beat your boy, whatever, when they're going out having some beer or whatever. And yeah, that's how it started. And then like hundreds of fights like that. I would go like since I was probably 7, like that's where it started. And then as you get older, you know the fights get tougher and a little bit more serious. By the time I'm 15, now I'm like, you know, I've been in 100+ fights already at 15 years old, and you know I'm learning how to fight. Not boxing. I never laced up a boxing glove till I was actually 15 when I got put into boxing through getting in trouble with the law. That's how I ended up in boxing. But yeah, so I always kind of knew how to fight. That was always, like I said, my life was always revolved around fighting. The only time I wasn't thinking about fighting, or I wasn't getting ready for the fight the next guy up the block or over that side of town, was when I was in the woods hunting. That was my one time I had, you know. I'm in school, I'm sitting there, I'm looking, I'm
just taking about a scrap.
I'm looking at my hand, I'm getting like constantly, who am I fighting after school? Who in the classroom wants to fight me? Like that's my way my whole life revolved around.
I imagine that the word probably traveled then. Like Ryan's ready for a knock.
Oh, it traveled quick, but probably by the time, like I said, I was about 14, 15, that was when, you know, I grew to from I was always a little guy, tiny little guy.
You're what, 6'3"? 6'2"?
I'm 6'3" now.
Yeah,
but I got to 6'3" when I was 15. So from 14, I'm like,
shit.
I took a growth spurt and I became 6'3", but I was like lanky. Like I was so skinny.
That in between, I went through that at a certain stage too. All of a sudden you just get, but then I would feel like awkwardly, I would fall.
Yeah, man, size 14 feet.
Holy fuck.
My hands connected to these noodle arms, but man, I could always hit. So when I'm like 15 years old, I'm this lanky kid. I had the long hair, you know, and that was when I got into some serious fights, because that was when I guess my punching power developed as I grew. And then I started like hurting people. People started getting like seriously hurt, and then yeah, ended up in some charges from the fights they did. They went from like, you know, I'm getting into these fights and somebody would get a black eye or a bloody nose, maybe a knocked out tooth, to like, oh shit, all my buddies are like, we gotta run, you know, because that guy ain't moving, you know, that guy's fucking convulsing on the ground, so we gotta go. And then that's when things got serious. That's when I ended up realizing, oh shit, like, you know, I can't really hit people anymore who aren't like trained or, you know, whatever. And then that's when boxing comes along.
That's fucking awesome though, Ryan. Like that means that what that tells me is that warrior spirit and that fighter's instinct, it has to be innate. You have to be born. Do you think you're born with that?
Yeah, to a certain extent, for sure. Like you can, you know, there's guys, I know guys who were like around here who were born maybe with, you know, their parents had money or whatever, and you know, they just love boxing. They ended up in boxing and they become really good fighters, really good boxers and stuff. But once you meet somebody who's also a good boxer, who has been through this type of stuff, and you get into those late rounds with that person, that's when you really see, you know, like,
yeah, that's when that dog comes out, eh?
That's like, it's something you can't really teach, money can't buy. I mean, we saw it with the Jake Paul fight there, like, you know,
that's right.
When shit gets real, you see.
It got real quick though for him too, because like after 2 he was falling a little bit. Like a second round he was falling.
That's all mental. Like that's where that comes from. When you had you know, an easy life, you see it in there.
I know, and that's one thing. I'll be honest with you. I do respect him making that walk with all that cash. You know, you got all that money and he's still fucking getting in there, which most guys, let's be honest, they wouldn't do it.
I don't know. How much you get paid?
Millions, yeah.
I know guys who do that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, fuck yeah, the street fighting I find so interesting. I think you learn a lot about yourself through those fucking things, man.
Oh yeah, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's dangerous, but it's almost like that's a part of you. It's a part of your journey. It's a part of what I was kind of alluding to at the beginning of this conversation, that toughness, that grit that we're freaking missing a little bit in this country, man. And that's why I'm so happy to have this conversation with you, because I feel like people don't respect Canadians as much as they should. And guys like you who represent that, you know, when it's time to go, like it's time to go, and things happen in life.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to grapple with violence. Like that's a part of life, especially as a man. You know, there's that little hidden thing between men, like when you're having a confrontation, that violence is there somewhere. It can get there. And so I think it's important, especially for young men, and you tell me if you agree, they shouldn't want to fight.
100%. Even women, everyone should know how to fight. I mean, why else would we have these knuckles attached to our hands? We're designed to fight. People are designed to fight. Just the way the world's going now, they want to take it away. They want to take away the violence. They want to, censor everything and cancel people and all this stuff. Like, it's just, we all know what's happening in the world today. And I mean, that's why I got to focus on boxing, because if I wasn't in boxing, I'd be out there, like, I wouldn't give a shit what people are doing in the world. I'm still going to do what I love to do,
That's right.
That's why I do what I do.
If someone was to break into my house, honestly, I wouldn't know what to do. That's something I hear often. And my response, well, don't let them break in. I'm Chad, former RCMP. Did you know that there's an average of 6 home invasions in the Greater Toronto Area daily? At Canada First, we deliver a home defense audit. We find your weak points and we show you how to prevent break-ins. We are here to fortify your home and stop intruders before they even try. Protect your home and what matters most with Canada First. Book your free home defense audit now.
So take me through when boxing came into your life, because you went through those experiences in Cape Breton, grew up, had the street fights. You knew you got these big paws. You're ready to go when it needs to be. Who brought you to the gym? Take me through that journey of how that sort of happened.
Well, I could be wrong. My memory's a little bit blurry around this time, because I was also a little bit, maybe I still am. People tend to think I'm a little crazy, but I was really psychotic when I was younger. Like I said, I was obsessed with fighting, obsessed with hurting people, obsessed with violence, obsessed with getting hurt. I loved it. That's what my life was about.
You remember the first time you got punched in the face? Like, really?
Yeah, I remember. Actually.
I know, me too.
Yeah,
I can remember it too. That feeling of that, like that impact, but then the feeling of punching somebody in the face too.
Yeah, the smell of iron, like when you bleed, you smell the taste of blood. I love that. Yeah. Like even thinking of talking about it right now, I really want to just like.
Yeah, like that's a unique part of you. That's inside of you, bro. Like that's what makes you who you are. And I think that needs to be. Of course, you need to control it, like you said, at times, but I fucking respect that.
Yeah, but boxing taught me that control. It teaches you control, humbles you. You realize, you're not the toughest guy out there. There's people out there that they'll fuck your day up. They can hurt you. They can you think you're something, but then you meet somebody who just, they can have their way with you. Like, you know what I mean? So it does humble you.
That must have been interesting for you, coming in from the streets, just beating guys, having serious fights, and then going into the gym. Take me through that. You went into the gym, started training. How did that sort of unfold for you?
Yeah, so how it went down was, I'm about, like I said, about 14, 15 years old. I was on 3 charges, all from fighting: assault causing bodily harm, maybe like some aggravated assault, just a lot of things like that. And I ended up the third one, the third assault I got, I think it was, I got into a fight with an older guy. I was 15. He was probably like maybe 45 years old, a local, really tough local fisherman.
Oh, okay.
And, that was one of those times where I was kind of in the wrong, and I hit the guy, and he ended up having a fractured skull and went blind or something in his eye. I can't remember the exact details, but he suffered a lot of damage. So I got caught, charged, did the whole thing, and I can't remember if it was actually written down on the you get your probation, your condition.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was actually written down or if the judge just recommended it to my dad, because my dad was always in the court with me. So he said, you got to join some kind of sport to keep you, like, I'm 15 years old. They don't want me to lock me up in the juvenile jail, whatever.
Which, fair enough, dude.
They want to try to give you your chances, whatever. So anyways, yeah, he's like, you got to join some kind of sport. And then I was like, okay. So I went home, and I remember I told my dad, I was like, well, I want to join hockey, because I know a lot of buddies that play hockey, and you can fight all you want on the ice, so I'll do that, right? And he's like, yeah, but he's like, maybe we'll try boxing. A buddy of mine owns a boxing gym in Sydney. I was like, boxing? Okay. So I gave it a try, and like, yeah, I remember like going for the first time and being like, oh man, this is brutal. Like, I didn't want to do it. I threw up, like,
The training, right?
Yeah, the training. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. But I remember I went, and there was like guys sparring in the ring and stuff, and I was like, I could fucking go in there and I'd kill these guys. You know what I mean? Look at how skinny they are and small they are. Man, I remember it might have been the second day I sparred or something, and I got hit with a body shot, and I was like, oh, like, yeah, I'm not this tough guy I think I am, because I can win all these fights in the street. You know, you go into a ring and you're like, you're just like a fucking nobody, you know what I mean? You go in the ring, and it kind of like made me want to do it more, made me start to focus on it. Yeah.
And then that's how you kind of, I guess, honed in on it and started training and putting like that energy into it.
Well, I had to, because like I said, it was part of my, I think, my conditions, or it was like an agreement we had. I can't remember exactly, but I had to go. It was like my thing every day. I was finished at school. My dad picked me up from school, take me straight to the gym, and, you know, got all that aggression out, whatever else, and then straight home. It was my cycle. That's all I did. Yeah.
You mentioned your dad a lot. Would you say he was like your mentor, or somebody that you looked up to growing up, or did you have somebody else that you would kind of look to and be like, okay, even in boxing, outside of boxing?
To be honest with you, I didn't really look up to anybody. Like, my dad was definitely, no, not a mentor, but he helped guide me. Like, he helped me. He knew there was like something was off or whatever. Like, he had to keep me on the right path, and that he did a great job of that. My mom too, they both did a great job of trying to keep me on the right path, you know what I mean?
100%.
As far as mentors go, I never really had any mentors until I watched a video of Jack Dempsey boxing, and then I wanted to be just like him. And
what made you, like, I see you post about him a lot. What about him were like, that's fucking what I like?
Well, it was like, actually, so I'll add to what I just said, that story. What actually happened was when I, you know, my dad was like, boxing, we'll join boxing. I didn't know anything about boxing. I had nothing. And so I went home, and we had the big computers with the keyboards. And I remember I got on the internet and I just looked up boxing, and I'm going through, you know, these videos and stuff like that. And that was the first time I seen like Mike Tyson highlights.
Oh yeah.
Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, all the names everybody knows. But I was like, whatever. It just didn't interest me. And I'm going through the videos, and like I see a black and white video.
Yeah.
And it ended up being Jack Dempsey versus Jess Willard, July 4th, 1919. And I clicked that video. So that's the first boxing match I ever witnessed. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget sitting there, you know, looking at the screen being like, what am I watching? I don't know if you know that fight, but Dempsey knocked Willard down like 7 times in the first round. He ended up, to this day, it's the most like horrific injuries in boxing history ever, like in one fight. He had broken ribs, knocked out 6 teeth, broke his eye socket, broke his jaw. He was like completely demolished, this guy. There was like allegations afterwards that Dempsey had cement in his gloves because he did so much damage to this guy. He never fought again. He retired him right there. And like that was the first boxing match I ever saw on tape. Not Floyd moving around the ring, popping the jab. It wasn't it was a brutal violence, like somebody like just fucking destroying somebody. And I was like, I want to do that. I was like, that's who I want to be. I want to be just like him, and that's what I want to do. And
so that might have been the switch to look for, like, that's what fires me up. That's what gets me going.
Yeah, because I remember I seen all kinds of violence in street fights. I seen guys get their fucking heads cracked open, fucking brains pretty well like coming out of their heads and hitting, heads hitting the concrete. But when I saw the box, like Jack Dempsey in the ring, there was like, it was fucking like so perfect. I never seen nothing like that.
Right.
Like the way he was throwing the punches, the way he was making the guy miss, like the technique. I've never seen technique before. So I was watching it like mesmerized. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, you know. And then like since that day, there's not a day goes by I don't study Dempsey, watch Dempsey, read about him. You know, I have all his books. I like this. That's it. Yeah.
That's fucking awesome, bro. Mm-hmm. And then when did you decide professional boxing? That's it. I'm dialed in. I'm going.
Well, so for a long time, I didn't really even know what I was like. I didn't even know the difference between amateur and pro. Like I said, I didn't really know much about boxing. I would just go to the gym. I would go home. I would watch Dempsey. I'd go back to the gym. I was thinking about, watching his fights, trying to do the same thing he did on the bag. At the time, the coach, in the beginning, the coaches didn't pay much attention to me in the gym because they knew I was kind of a head case. I was like everybody knew who I was. I was showing up to the gym with stitches and black eyes and a wrapped up hand or whatever because I was still kind of, engaging in altercations outside of boxing too. So yeah, like that I didn't really understand the difference between pro and amateur. I started having amateur fights. And then I think I had about 3 amateur fights, and I ended up in another altercation in the street. This one was pretty serious. I ended up actually fighting with a whole hockey team. There's something I was with my buddies, there was like a little drug deal going on, like selling weed to these guys or something. Somebody ripped somebody off. I don't even remember. All I know is there was a fight, and I got excited and I started fighting. And next thing you know, I knocked out a few of these hockey players, maybe 4 or 5 of them, and a couple of them like got it really bad, so they ended up in the hospital. I ended up charged again, and they had to pull my boxing license for I think it was about a year and a half. I couldn't box. I wasn't allowed in the gym, so they suspended my amateur license.
Right.
During that time, that was when I really went crazy with boxing history. That's when I kind of became like a little bit of a historian, because all I did was study boxing. I knew I had a year and a half. I was about, now I'm about 16, 17 years old.
It's an important year, though.
Yeah. And I was growing. I went from 150 pounds to 210, 220.
Yeah.
I was like big now. And I was just studying boxing and training and hitting. I had this little heavy bag in this little shed, and I'd just go out, hit that bag in the shed, train, hit the bag.
Just waiting to come back.
I was on not house arrest, but I wasn't allowed outside my house like certain hours. I was only allowed out for so many hours a day, and then I had to be back home. So I was just training. That's all I was doing. The odd time my buddies would come pick me up, and they'd take me somewhere, like I said, to these house parties.
Yeah.
And, they're looking for girls and drinking, and I'm like, well, so who the fuck is here to fight? I got to work on some shit. Like, I got to work on my Dempsey role. Like, you know what I mean? Like, things like that. And that's what it was. And then when I finally got my license back, I was like, I went on a tear through the amateurs.
And then that was it. Skyrocket.
Haven't stopped. I mean, I think I got back around, I must have been close. Now I was closer to 18 when I got my amateur license back. I had about probably like 16, 17 amateur fights within a couple of years. And then it was actually a really close friend of mine, Brandon Brewer. He's a professional fighter too. He was Canadian middleweight champion. He fought on DAZN, all these big cards. And so at the time, he was an undefeated professional, and he's living in New Brunswick, about a 5-hour drive from Cape Breton. He's training similar, like, it's there's not much sparring in the Maritime, so I guess Brandon probably heard there was some tough kids down in Cape Breton to spar with in the gyms. So he made the trip down. Like, I never heard this guy. I don't know who he is. And I remember the coach at the amateur gym. I'm in the gym. I'm just training now. I'm locked in on my fights. And he said, oh, there's a professional coming down to spar with you guys. And I'm like, aren't we professionals? Like, I didn't even know the difference. You know what I mean? So I look him up, and I'm like, oh, and I start learning. He's a pro, and he's, like, this is what he's doing. He's coming down to spar with us amateurs. I started learning about it. Oh, no, headgear makes sense. And so he come down, I met him, and I remember looking at him like, oh, fuck, he's not that big. And we get in the ring, and, I didn't even know him. I tried to kill him. I tried to kill this guy. Oh, and he boxed me, like, pieced me up. And afterwards, he felt my punching power. He knew I had something. Right. And I remember afterwards, the sparring, we met, got a picture, and he's like, what's your deal? And I told him my what I was doing. And he's like, when do you plan on, like, turning pro? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, how do I do that? And he's like, well, I'm having a pro fight card. He's like, I can put you on the undercard. You'll make $500. And I'm like, $500, man. Never had that much money in my life. And so I was like, okay, figure right, go fight someone for money. I didn't know you could fight for money. That was the first time I ever learned that you could fight for money.
Yeah.
That was it, man. I signed up, ended up fighting some heavyweight guy, and that was the beginning of my pro career. So it was Brandon that got me into it.
That is a fucking cool story, bro. Yeah. Man, looking at that and looking at the story and everything that you've been through, I feel like, did boxing save you?
Oh yeah, come on, easy. Like, it still does to this day. I'm married, and I got a daughter and a stepdaughter, but, like, even with all that, even all the great things I got going in life, there's still a side of me that, like, sometimes I can't sleep. I wake up at 2 a.m. and I gotta freaking literally go watch some boxing or something, because I feel like walking down the road and just getting into a fight, because it's just, can't help it. I don't, obviously. I have that control now that I can stop, and I know how to, when those thoughts come, I know how to deal with it. Go to the gym, go for a run, focus on what I'm doing. But yeah, like, to this day, boxing saves me every single day.
So I don't imagine you get nervous before fights then? How's that feeling for Ryan before a fight?
I don't get nervous because I already know, like, what I've already been in situations where, people have tried to kill me in these types of street fights that I was in. I've been in I've been in those brutal boxing fights too. I've been in the 12-round wars and the real.
Learn about yourself in those too.
Yeah. There's nothing I haven't experienced. I haven't been knocked out, but I don't care if I do. Like, that's the thing about me. I don't care if I get knocked out. I get knocked out. Well, you got me with a good shot. I'll try not to get hit with it again.
It's a part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, you're gonna kill me. Well, I'm gonna die anyway. You know what I mean? Am I gonna kill you? Well, that's what we signed up for. So it's like, anything that can happen. Like, it's whatever to me.
What do you think you'd be doing if it wasn't for boxing?
I'd be probably dead, because somebody would have eventually, like I said, there's a lot of people out there. You know what I mean? I'm not the toughest guy walking the streets. I might be a great boxer and a top-ranked boxer, but there's guys out there that would pick me up, put my head through the concrete. You know what I mean? There's always somebody bigger, meaner, tougher. So eventually somebody would have got me. I know that. I'm not delusional about it. Somebody will get me in the ring eventually too. I know that too. Like, that's the game.
It is the game, and I love that mentality. You led the way for many Canadian boxers, and when you look at Canadian boxing now, what are your thoughts on just Canadian boxing in general? Has it come a long way? Has it improved? Does it need improvements? I just want to get your opinion on it.
It's come a long way, I think. It does need a little bit of improvements, though. Of course, there could be bigger shows here. Hopefully I want to help that. We got some great fighters here. Lucas. He's Lucas Body. He's a great fighter. He's a really good fighter. There's a few others.
He's with MVP, isn't he?
He is. Yeah.
They signed him.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, so good for him. He's doing real well. Brandon, of course. Brandon. He's been there, but see, if you look into boxing history and you go back, we've had some of the greatest fighters here. Most recent I could think of is probably George Chuvalo. We had Sam Langford, arguably one of the greatest fighters in boxing history. We had George Dixon from back in my hometown. Sam Langford, too. Both of those guys are from Nova Scotia. George Dixon was the first black champion ever in boxing. A lot of people don't know that. We had Arturo Gatti was born here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yvonne Durrell from the Maritimes, one of the toughest ever. He fought Archie Moore for the championship of the world. So we had some serious fighters. But then somewhere along the way, we got this reputation of being the fighters who make it so far, and then they put us in the big stage over in the States or wherever,
right?
And we get smoked because Canadians are just tough, but they can never get past that level.
What is that, you think? Why does that happen?
I don't know. It's almost like they just put that on themselves. We're gonna build up our record, win all these fights around Canada, and then just go get the payday and call it a day.
You remember Steve Rolls fighting Triple G?
I do, yeah. I know Steve.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Yeah.
Well, he fought Triple G.
I know. At that time, too.
Yeah. But Steve's done real well, too. Guy. He just had a win, I think, recently.
Right, yeah. He's still going.
He's not done yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of good guys, man. A lot of good guys.
Yeah.
That are out of this country, and I'm rooting for you guys because I think we deserve more credit than is given.
For sure we do. Yeah. But they got this. Actually, speaking of MVP and Lucas, I remember I saw this clip wasn't that long ago. I never said nothing, wanted to say something, but I'll say it now. Lucas was doing some road work in this reel with Jake.
Okay.
They were running track, right?
Yeah.
I just remember this for some reason. And I remember Lucas had a bag of tangerines or oranges or something. And Jake, you could see in the clip, Jake was kind of making fun of Lucas. He's like, what's up with this guy and his bag of oranges or whatever? And then he said something, and then Jake Paul's walking away, and he's like, "Oh, fucking Canadians," and Lucas in the video is laughing, ha ha ha, Now, if that was me right then and there, my word, I would have fucking cracked that motherfucker right in the chin.
I believe it
because of that disrespect. Oh yeah, it's funny, that's your boss, and he's paying you, and I get it. You can't, you just got to take it. But that was he just disrespected not only you. But he said, "Oh, fucking Canadians." Even if it was a joke, there's always a little bit of truth to a joke, right?
They always have fun with us, those guys.
You know what I mean?
The American guys are always having a laugh at the Canadians.
That guy would have been twitching right there on the track.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. And sometimes, you know what? No matter what, I think I'll be 80 years old, and definitely you will be too. I'll be 80 years old, and if a fight happens, it's time to go, it's time to go.
Oh, yeah, of
That's
course.
what it is, right?
Yeah.
No matter, but like you said, you're not the toughest guy in the room always, but you could stand and bang.
You don't have to be the toughest guy, but if you let somebody just walk all over you, disrespect you, disrespect your woman or your wife,
right.
your girlfriend,
right?
you might as well just go sit in the corner, like, because you're not a man.
Exactly.
That's it.
I agree with that. And I think we're losing that a little bit.
We are 100%. Yeah.
But when you look at your career so far, Ryan, what are your thoughts? Like 19 KOs, just again, led the way in many cases for these guys, man. When you look at it so far, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I like I said, I know boxing. I know the history of boxing. I really study a lot of the fighters, and like when I look at myself, I see like, you know, I'm young. I'm only 30, but I've been in a lot of tough fights. I've been in a lot of brutal fights. Got a lot of damage, scar tissue, surgeries, and stuff like that. So like, you know, I think I'm a little older than 30 when I see myself, and I think I've done a lot. I've been in, like I said, a lot of like brutal fights, fight of the years, not fight of the years, things like that. But then, like, I still feel like I got so much more to do. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
And sometimes I can't really look too much at my career and the fights I've been in, because it kind of puts a little thought in my head, like, oh shit, like when is that day coming when I'm, you know, I get hit for that one last time and I can't take it anymore, or my durability starts to go down or something like that. So I try not to look too much about the fights that I've had, you know. I like watching them sometimes because they're exciting, and I'm a fight fan. You know, and I'll watch my own fights because it's not because it's me and I'm like this crazy narcissist or something. No, I actually watch the fights and I'm like, how come more people don't fight like that? You know what I mean?
It's fucking exciting, bro. I know at times you got to box and be technical, but fuck, is it ever exciting? And it pays the viewership and what people support you for that reason. But there's just so much interesting things when I think about fighting, but I always think about this one quote from Fight Club. I don't know if you ever watched Fight Club. I'd imagine you should watch it. It's fucking cool.
I actually trained with a guy a couple of weeks ago from that. Is it from that movie? Never mind. No, it's from the movie Snatch.
Oh yeah, similar film. Yeah. But in Fight Club, Brad Pitt's like in the parking lot, kind of having a fight with somebody, and he's like, "How much you know about yourself? You've never been in a fight." That fucking quote right there. Mm-hmm. I've thought about it for so many years. My buddy mentioned to me when I was young, and it's true. How much do you know about yourself if you've never been in a fight? Because there's an interesting thing that happens when you get into a fight or when a fight's about to happen, that adrenaline rush, and that either I'm going to stand and bang or I'm going to run away. Or maybe you respond the wrong way, and then you're like, maybe I should have done something different next time. Maybe next time I should have, had my honor and fucking just went down swinging or whatever. Mm-hmm. When you look at a quote like that, obviously I would imagine you agree to that, but do you think like you really learn about yourself on a next level when it comes, like for anybody listening, not even just a boxer, just anybody who's you'll learn about yourself in those types of situations. So I'm of the opinion, like I'll tell my son one day, lean into that. Would you agree?
100%. Like here's the thing, like I said, like you were saying, we live in this weird world today where, people can just pick up their phone and they can talk into their phone, say a bunch of shit, or sit down on one of these podcasts, talk a bunch of shit, but they've never been through it. They're just talking, and then a bunch of these people watching it are going to believe what they say. But like, you could say all you want, you could say who you are or what you would do in a situation. Like, you don't know. You really don't know until you're actually there. Do you know what I mean? Like you could say, oh, I would never quit. Yeah, well, let's see when your ribs are broken, your fucking organs are starting to rupture, and your brain is swelling against your skull, and like, you're probably gonna die. Like, you think you're not gonna quit? Like, that's when you really find out.
People talk about this all the time, like when you're with your buddies or whatever, and like some guys, they go, oh, because the break-ins are happening all the time now, and where we're from. Yeah. So they're like, oh, if somebody broke in, I would do this, I would do that, and I'm like, bro, have you ever been punched in the face before? Maybe start there.
Yeah. Like,
you're talking about all the things you're going to do if somebody breaks into your home in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. Do you know how fucking intense that would be?
Yeah.
It's not as easy as you think.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think that those experiences, I look at them as valuable. I do. And, some people might not agree with me and like, that's violence, Stefano. I don't know, man. You shouldn't be. I look at it as valuable because even if you're a police officer, let's say, how can you be a police officer if you've never been in a fight before? Mm-hmm. You look at some of the cops and how they respond to things now, and it's like, well, yeah, because they never ever felt that feeling of, oh fuck, I could die right now.
Yeah. They gotta be fucking real about it. They have to have that experience for sure. Then they know to handle the situation. I think. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, like a good example. I remember just to go back to one of the fights I had. I remember I had a fight early in my career when I was actually coming up. Although, like, if you know my record and you know my fights, I didn't have a padded record like most of the Canadians have.
Right.
I had really tough fights coming up, and I remember I got put into the fucking fire early in my career. Only about 10 fights in, I got put in against this Russian guy from Dagestan who was unbeaten. He was unbeaten in pro boxing. He was unbeaten in MMA and kickboxing, and he was a high-level Olympic wrestler. Just a really tough dude, right, from Russia. And I remember this guy, like, he hit me in the fight, hit me in the eye here, and crushed my orbital bone, like fractured the orbital bone. I went blind, also caused a cut, needed like 2 rows of stitching. It was right to my skull. So the blood like went in my eye, and it blinded that eye, and then it went into the other eye and blinded that eye too. I couldn't see, and I think I was concussed, so everything was like blurry. Anyway.
What round was that?
This was in the beginning of the second round. He hit me with that.
Oh, early on.
Yeah, and he really stunned me, and then I ended up. I guess they were going to stop the fight, and I ended up just like, I pulled the rage out, and I stopped him, knocked him out. And then, like, afterwards, I just remember everybody afterwards in the dressing room, they're stitching me up, they're checking my face, and it's like, oh my God, like, you got so much heart, and you got the thing that fighters don't have. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I knew I did. Like, you guys are just seeing it now. I fucking knew this 10 years ago from the situations I was in street fights. Yeah. I already knew that about myself. I never had to say it. I never had to run around saying, oh, to the death or kill or be killed. Sometimes I'll put it on my Instagram now because I'm trying to promote my fights itself.
A part of it.
But at that time, I wasn't saying stuff like that. But I already knew that.
You knew yourself.
I knew myself. I was in much worse. Like one eye, fuck the eye. Let the eye fall out. I didn't care. Like,
use the other one.
Yeah.
I know that's to my point about the value that comes from those experiences. You knew that about yourself. You learned about yourself.
Yeah, just to add to what we were just talking about. So I didn't have to say it. I already knew. Yeah.
Yeah, I respect that. And I want to get into a little bit more of your mentality because I'm very interested in it. But I want to start with something heavy. You mentioned to the death. Do you ever think about death? Do you ever grapple with that idea of dying?
Yeah, I do. Because I've had, a lot of people don't know this, but I had some real close calls in the boxing ring. 2 fights in particular. One was, well, I guess a lot of people know about the fight with Oscar Rivas, but that was for the first ever Bridgerweight Championship of the world. It was a complete mismatch on paper. It was actually a similar fight that Jake Paul just had. Similar weight difference, similar experience difference. Rivas was a top 10 heavyweight. He was on a winning streak, whereas, Joshua was coming off a knockout loss. But still, it was a similar matchup on paper. I had like 13 fights at the time. So I went in like complete underdog, but like I said, I already knew what I was made of, so I knew I was ready to go to those places, and I did, and the fight ended up going 12 rounds, so brutal fight, took a lot of punishment. I don't remember the fight too clearly because I got hit in the first round, and I got like knocked out on my feet. I almost got knocked out cold, but I got saved by the bell, and somehow I recovered, and the fight went on for another 11 rounds of just back and forth, and Rivas was, for those who don't know, Oscar Rivas was a brutal puncher. They called him Kaboom, and then for a reason, right? I think they called him the South American Mike Tyson. This guy was a serious puncher, and he ended up my kidneys were failing. There was some other damage in my organs. My brain was like on the verge of hemorrhaging towards the end. I don't know how it didn't. So dehydrated, and so I don't remember much, and then I was in the Quebec hospital, and like I remember thinking in my head like, oh shit, like I'm gonna die. Like because I remember the way my brain felt. I was like, oh, my brain's hemorrhaging. Like this is it. You know what I mean? But I was so calm. I remember being like, oh yeah, I made it. I made it. Yeah.
And then you came through that. How'd you feel when you saw the other side of it?
Well, afterwards, I was like, it was something I already knew about myself, that I was willing to go that far, And
so you're willing to die in the ring?
I was. On that night, I was, yeah. And it's weird. People don't understand, like, why would you die in some stupid sport or a bunch, But there's more to it than that, There was a time in when that was all it was, Men would go out and they would fight to the death, and it was like greatest day of their lives, literally, We lost that.
We did.
Yeah.
But we're going to get it back with guys like you. When you look at your mentality over the past year, you've been through a couple injuries, right? 2 major ones?
Yeah, I had one surgery. No, two. Yeah, one surgery.
Take us through that a little bit here, just to let everybody understand, like the adversity that you've been grappling with in 2025, forcing you out of the ring, going through these couple injuries. How did you manage it? How did you get through it? How did it affect you? Take us through it.
Well, I'll go back a little bit. I'll go back to 2023.
Yep.
I was, I'm in the WBC ranks, number 2 in the world right now. I think at the time in 2023, I was maybe top 15, and the president of WBC, he wanted me to win a couple fights, beat a couple contenders, and he promised me a world title shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. I knocked out all the contenders that they put in front of me and earned the world title shot. It became mandatory for the world title against Noel McCallion, signed with Don King.
Right.
Got my mandatory. Now we're in the beginning of 2024. So I go down to Miami to do a press conference. Like, the fight is scheduled. They had a date. Can't remember the date, but we did a little face-off and spoke with Don King and everything. And then shortly after, the champion pulled out of the fight. Said he had an injury. No problem. We rescheduled the fight. I did another training camp. Then he pulled out of the fight again. Now it's 2 times. What the heck? Okay. Rescheduled the fight again. Did another training camp. And remember, every time I do a training camp, I'm going hard. I'm training.
Most of these guys, they don't know that. People don't understand that.
The training camp,
the sparring, the sparring, the fucking grinding out, the meals, all that shit. People don't understand that.
It takes a toll on your body, especially when you don't fight. Now it's like, oh, now I got to reset. You spend all that money training. And then, so he did it again, and 3 times. Then it was like, I think they ended up going to like a purse bid. So my promoters in Hamilton won the purse bid. Now we got the rights to the fight. So we're like, okay, now the fight's definitely happened. They can't pull out anymore. We're putting the fight on in Canada. He literally says, no, I'm not coming to Canada to fight. That was it. No explanation. Pulls out of the fight. WBC's like, okay, we're stripping you of the title because you can't do this. So you're a champion. You have to defend against your mandatory. He was refusing to defend. So they stripped him of the belt, and they made me and the number 2 fight for it, Yamil Peralta. It was a rematch, actually, against the fight that, was controversial, the first one. So we fought to a draw, and so the belt stayed vacant. So I didn't win the fight. And then what they did was they had like a convention, and now nobody's got the belt. The WBC world title. They were at a convention. Badu Jack, the former champion, shows up. They reinstate Badu Jack. Mauricio, the president, FaceTimes me with my promoter Dan. What do you want, Ryan? Because he knew my situation. He knew what happened. Noel was refusing to fight me. Kind of got the draw. I should have got the win. And he understood the situation. And he's like, what do you want? And I was like, I want to fight Jack. He made me mandatory to fight Badu Jack.
Right.
He's a man of his word, Mauricio. So he makes me mandatory to fight Jack. I get the fight scheduled for Saudi Arabia on the Canelo undercard.
Right.
And I go to training camp, and man, so now I'm like, how many training camps and a fight and a 12-round fight in a row? Like, I was pretty well beat at that point. I didn't stop. Right. I was so tunnel vision on getting that world title that I wasn't stopping, and I was training like a maniac. And I go down to Texas to begin training camp. The first round of sparring, I throw a right hand, and my bicep snaps. I'm like, oh, no. I ended up having like a talk with all the team, everybody, my wife, couple surgeons, and they all said the same thing, like, you can't fight. Because I was going to go fight anyway with the torn bicep.
What does it feel like when you have a torn bicep? Can you swing properly?
I couldn't do anything with my arm. My arm was pretty well useless. Because it completely snapped, and the bicep went up into my shoulder. Like, it wasn't even there anymore.
Yeah.
But I was like, who cares? Like, I'll fight anyway, right? Fought worse in my mind, but they said, like, you fight, you're going to lose, like, so much of your power for the rest of your life, because once you go so long without getting the surgery, we can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. Obviously, I got a long career ahead of me. You know what I mean? I'm only young. I'm going to have to postpone this fight or pull out or whatever. So that's what we did. In steps the guy who ducked me previously 5 times. He gets the fight, which I don't understand. I don't understand why Peralta didn't get the fight, or the Polish guy that was the next in line. I didn't get the fight. No, they gave it to this guy. Maybe because Don King, I don't know.
Yeah.
They gave it to him, and then he ended up. I don't know. I don't even know who won, but anyway, that's how that went. Then this healed. I got a little bit excited when it started to heal, and got ahead of myself. Started training a little bit too quick, and the surgeon warned me, don't go back too hard, and I did. I ended up going, and I strained it pretty bad. It swelled up. Luckily, it didn't completely snap the second time, and then just more time to eat it, and then now here I am. Now I'm ready to go.
How did you manage that, man? That's a fucking grueling story, man. Like going through all those training camps, this guy's pulling out, then getting back through it. What did that do to your mental, right?
Oh, there were some tests there, because I'm the type of fighter, I need to be active. I need to be in the ring all the time, and if I don't got a fight right in front of me, I got to have one scheduled. As long as I got a target, I need a target in my head.
I hear you on that.
I put my my opponents as my screensaver because I'm looking at them. I need to have a target. I need to have an enemy. That's just the way my brain is wired. Like I said, if I was in boxing, I'd be, who knows where I'd be. Maybe I would have went to war. I don't know, because I just need to always have an enemy to focus on that I'm going to beat. How am I going to beat them? You know what I mean? And so during this whole time not fighting, having that one fight, it was tough. But you got to look ahead. You got to look at the big picture and stuff like that.
That's a difficult. Breaks a lot of fighters, right?
I'm lucky. I'm lucky. I got the wife she helped me through it. She was like constantly, reassuring me, this is all part of your plan kind of thing.
Love that.
Keep focusing ahead. Yeah. If I didn't have her, I was 100%. I was going looking for her.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, because guys like you, sometimes, having that woman in your life to keep you grounded is so beneficial. And I feel it too, in my life, to have your old lady by your side to help you through these times and just in general. Do you feel like that's a big component to making you stay as grounded as you possibly can?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially mine. She's like Eastern European. She's from Poland, so she's very very disciplined, super disciplined. She doesn't drink. No, she doesn't do anything like that. She's like same routine every day.
Right.
So watching the way that she operates, it's good for me, because I'm a little bit chaotic. Even though I'm a professional fighter, even though I train very hard, very disciplined with my training, I'm still a little bit chaotic sometimes, a little bit all over the map, just kind of my mentality, right? So
fair enough.
Watching her, being around her, it's like it helps me be more disciplined, more structured, to avoid the drinking and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's key. It is key, especially for a man, to have that lady to keep you. That's why they call them the old ball and chain. They keep you grounded. They keep you going. So now 2025 being the year of adversity, 2026, the year of glory, maybe. Like, what are your thoughts now going into 2026? What are you committed to? What are you looking forward to most?
Well, the first step for me is winning a fight. So it's coming on to 2 years now since I had my last win, with everything that has happened.
Yeah.
So the first thing I got to do is knock somebody out. Fortunately, I went down to the convention, WBC convention in Thailand a couple weeks ago. And because after a year of inactivity, with the injury and everything, they're supposed to pull your ranking, you drop out of the rankings.
Yeah.
But the WBC understood everything that has been going on with me out of my control. So they gave me some extra time, and they said, you can keep your number 2 ranking, but we need you back in the ring in 2 months. So that was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, so you got to get in there within 8 weeks, eh?
Yeah. So I'm fighting within 8 weeks. My promoters are working on something right now. They're like, don't you worry, we're going to have you in the ring. Probably not going to be, there's not enough time there to schedule a fucking world title fight or some, a huge fight. No, it's not going to be that kind of fight. I'm probably going to fight somebody either, from Mexico or Eastern Europe, maybe somewhere. A tough fight, but not a world-class fighter.
And then next would be the WBC. You should get honor back that role that you had before.
I should, yeah. So we're going to see how that plays out. But right now, the main focus is just get back in the ring, get a knockout, get
that feeling back.
Oh yeah, and I gotta hurt somebody because it's been too long. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. Yeah, get back in the ring, get the feeling. Come back from the injury. Man, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
I want to take a step outside of boxing before we wrap it up here. You mentioned earlier about you enjoy the outdoors. It's very much a part of your identity, especially coming from Cape Breton. Does the outdoors and hunting and does that help you stay dialed? Does that help you kind of turn the switch off? Can you turn the switch off? What does that look like for you?
Honestly, that's one of the only times I can. So when I'm hunting, I'm zoned in, focused on getting a deer, getting a moose, getting a bear, whatever it is I'm focused on
You
getting.
got a bear before?
Oh, yeah, I've gotten bears.
That's
Yeah.
fucking cool. What
Yeah.
kind?
Black bears.
Black bears?
Black bears, moose, deer.
Do they have grizzlies up in fucking Nova Scotia?
No, just black bears.
Just black bears,
Yeah, I did. I actually shot one of the biggest black bears ever shot in Nova Scotia.
Oh, shit.
It's on my Instagram. There's a picture of him there somewhere. Huge. It was the size of a grizzly. I got the hide done, the skull. And I remember when I took the hide in, the taxidermy from the valley in Nova Scotia. He opened it up and he was like, "What the fuck?" Because he was like,
fucking blown away.
He's like, it was the same, because he had grizzlies there that guy shot wherever, and he was like, it was the same size as the grizzly bears, this black bear. This thing was a menace.
Black bears will fucking attack you, though, eh?
I'm sure it would have if I gave him the chance.
He wasn't getting it, eh?
No.
So who showed you the way of hunting? Was it your dad?
Yeah, it was my dad. Yeah, actually, it was my dad. Yeah, he, I mean, this is like, you can't do this today, but it was a little different back then.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know, 6, 7 years old, and he used to work on cars with my uncle, and behind the garage was woods forever. And I remember there was a shotgun up in the corner of the garage, an old 410 gauge shotgun, and I walked over as a little kid and I picked it up, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Can I go hunting?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he gave me 3 bullets, 2 scatter shots, bird shots, and 1 slug. Yeah. He told me, he's like, "You use the slug for deer and you use the scatter shots for rabbits and partridge." And I was like, "Okay." And he goes, "You go out, follow the trail and shoot whatever you want. But remember, whatever you kill, you got to eat. You can't kill it unless you're going to eat it." And I'm like, "Okay." And that's how I learned. That's how.
Did you get something?
Yeah, I think I shot a squirrel and I had to eat it. I never shot a squirrel again.
Exactly. So did he teach you how to like butcher it down, take all that, the whole 9?
My grandfather taught me more of that. My grandfather was like a trapper. That was like his full-time thing. He was a woodcutter and a trapper. So he taught me how to trap. I used to trap too a lot, not so much anymore because I'm living here and I'm training.
Yeah.
So I don't really have the time to run a trap line, but I used to be a licensed trapper to a fur harvester. They call them, you beavers, muskrats, otters, all those things. Skin them, take them to the fur auction and sell. That's how I used to make my cash when I was younger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you pay attention to politics much, but these guys were trying to take your guys' guns, and they were starting with Cape Breton. They were doing a buyback program. And it started to roll out in Cape Breton. I don't know how successful they were.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck. Why would you start there?
I don't know. And that's one thing I had to mention to you, but
Yeah.
because I pay attention to politics, we talk about it on the podcast here and there.
Yeah.
This buyback program that's going to cost Canadians like hundreds of millions of dollars. They're trying to go after crime, but they're going after the legal gun owners, like guys like yourself and your family.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
I was gonna say
The criminals are the ones committing the crimes, right?
Yeah.
And they're going after the legal gun owners. And I believe the rollout started in Cape Breton. I was like, I got to fucking ask Ryan about that.
Out of all places to start, it doesn't really make any sense. It's all hunters and farmers, and
Maybe that's why they started there, Ryan. Maybe they're like, there's a lot of guns there. Let's go take those.
that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Right?
Fuck, I can go run over a whole parade full of people with a car. Should we take cars away?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
stupid.
Do you pay attention to politics at all?
Little bit. I'm starting to learn. I honestly, up until like a few months back, I knew nothing of politics. I never paid attention. But my wife is in politics. She's with the chamber, Polish Canada Chamber.
Okay.
So she's gonna get me involved a little bit. I got Polish background, so I'm kind of learning a little bit.
Because do you see what's happening in the country? Like when you look at Canada, just last couple questions here before I let you go. When you look at Canada, like, are you worried at all about where the country's going?
I was until I went to Thailand.
And then you saw how it was there?
I you know what? I was like, yeah, it pissed me off with the gun stuff. Like, leave us the fuck alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm a believer. Like, somebody comes into your home,
Yeah.
you motherfucker, you're getting shot right in the forehead. But like, that's the way it should be, in my opinion.
me too.
You defend yourself, defend your family. I believe that we should have the right to defend ourselves, and I see it as a form of control. Obviously, they're trying to take control. They're trying to take everything away from us. But that's why you got to train. You can't take away these.
It's a bit, they can't take away those, that's for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. What were we saying?
The politics, yeah, it's just, I'm worried a little bit about the country, and that's why when I see guys like yourself, Canadians and stuff, I always like to pick your brain a bit and see where you think it's going. What do you think's going on?
Oh yeah, I mentioned Thailand. So I was like, I always thought, I gotta get out of this country, go to live in Poland or something, because of the way it's going. Until I went to Thailand, and I was like, you know what? It ain't that bad here.
What's it like in Thailand?
It's just so like crazy. Like it was like a chaotic. Like, I thought, coming down here to Toronto is like, I'm used to being in the woods.
Yeah,
I've got no neighbors in Cape Breton where I'm at. There's nobody for
fucking awesome.
20 kilometers. I'm by myself for 20 kilometers on every direction. So coming to Toronto usually is like a week of just pure anxiety, But
Imagine, yeah.
when I went to Thailand, and then I was like, I need to get back to Toronto.
It was just condensed people everywhere kind of thing?
Everywhere. There's just like...
What brought you to Thailand? Were you training down there?
I went for the convention.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
WBC held their convention. I had to go to maintain my ranking, to see where I was at with the world title fight.
That's a hell of a flight there, eh?
Yeah, it was brutal. It was one of the most brutal things
I fucking can't do it. I can't fucking do it, man.
Yeah.
How many hours was that?
Oh my God. It was 5 to Vancouver.
Yeah.
And from Vancouver straight to Thailand, it was like
you did
16 hours.
Yeah.
The way back. Oh, yes. It was brutal.
It's tough, man.
Yeah, but I had to do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to be done.
It was part of my job. I got to go to the convention, and I had to, go state my case as to why I need to stay in the ranking.
Yeah, you got it. That title's yours.
Yeah, I'm tunnel vision on that title right now.
We're looking forward to seeing it, man. I'm going to be supporting you the whole way through, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the journey unfolds. If a Canadian boxer that's listening right now, young up-and-coming boxer, what advice would you have for him?
It's tough because I'm, I guess I have a different, like you've heard, like I've told, I got a bit of a different story. So, my advice might not always be the best
But it's yours, though.
For each individual.
Right.
But see, I can't give advice to a guy who had was privileged. I got no advice for you. No disrespect. I respect everybody. But for somebody who had a privileged upbringing, who was like, chose to go into boxing and had all the money behind them and stuff, I got no help. I got no advice for you.
Fair enough.
For the young kids who, like myself, were kind of put into boxing, you know what I mean? And the way that I was, for those kids, I would say, like, find it, or if it's boxing, if it's hockey, if it's soccer, whatever it is, and go tunnel vision, because I know if I didn't find that, and I strayed off the path, I did stray off the path a few times, but boxing always got me back onto it. If I didn't have it, I would have kept going off the path, and then I wouldn't be here. 100% I know I would not be here. I'm very lucky to be here, but it's because of boxing. It's because I had something to focus on, and that's it. So for those kids, you find something to focus on, and you just go tunnel vision with it. No distractions outside.
Do you ever worry, like, when you retire, what that tunnel vision will be?
Yeah, honestly, it's something I try not to think about it too much, because I don't know. Like,
that's fair.
Like I've said before, I have a wife,
Yeah.
I got a daughter, I got a stepdaughter, I got people who care about me. So it's like, it's weird, it's a weird thing, because I don't know what's going to happen when I retire, when I don't have a target to focus on, or I don't have a title to go after, or, somewhere to channel my violent side. Like, honestly, I don't know.
And that's totally fair.
Yeah.
And then, you never know how the way the universe or the things present themselves to you.
Yeah.
But right now, your journey is this.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm
Maybe as time goes on, something's going to come up. I'll say,
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to teach boxing. Maybe that'll be my thing. But I have a hard time even teaching it right now, because I'm trying to teach it. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking, okay, I got to go fucking train myself. I got to go fight somebody right now myself. So that's it. Yeah.
Being a father, last question here. Has that changed you at all? Like, when you became a father, did that identity, did that mental shift change? Did you feel like a protector? Did you lean into that? What did that experience be like for you?
Yeah, that changed. That definitely changed something about me. I used to be like, I'm not going to say like, didn't care if I died in the ring or in a fight.
Yeah.
But I guess I didn't in a way. I didn't, because to me, that was my honorable way out. Like, you know what I mean? Not that I was looking for a way out, but I was like, that's Valhalla. I got a tattoo right on my neck. That's how you get there,
A warrior's death.
The warrior's death. But, after I had a daughter, and like, I want to be here for her life. I want to see her grow. I want to see everything, I want to be there for her when she needs me. So now I get in the ring and instead of thinking, you know, I'm ready to, like, no, fuck you. I'm like, fuck you, you motherfucker.
I'm going to kill you before
you're
you
going, you know, like, do it. Like, that's just my mindset. Maybe it sounds a little off or whatever, but I'm like, no, I'm going home to my kids. You know, I'm going home to mine. Yeah.
Yeah, I see how that can, now it's kill or be killed, isn't it?
That's what it is.
That's the mentality, literally,
Yeah,
when it comes down to it.
And, you know, I've seen it happen. I've seen fighters die in the ring.
Many times, yeah.
And it happens. So it's true. It's what it is sometimes, yeah.
It's modern day warriors, man. And I don't think there's many people in Canada that represent it better than you. I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you coming on. I have a final segment on Couple Casuals podcast, which I call Salute. I'm Italian, so we do a salute, the cheers. You know what I mean?
Right.
We have a drink. I give an opportunity to the guests to end us off with that. Something that resonates with you, maybe something you want to say to somebody, something, or words of encouragement, whatever.
I would say, like I said before, man, if you have something, you got to go tunnel vision with it. Like, I can only speak from my own experience, and my experience has been, if it wasn't for me focusing and fixating on boxing, then I would have been like,
right,
completely, who knows what I would have been, but it wouldn't have been good. I know that. So that's what I would say to people, is just figure out what you like, whatever it is, and just focus on it. Yeah, stay disciplined and stay focused.
I love that. Ryan, thank you so much, brother. I'm cheering for you, and I look forward to seeing how everything unfolds, and we'll be supporting you all the way through, man. I appreciate you.
Appreciate that, yeah.
I appreciate all of you. Until next time, love you, nobody else. Ciao.